Back everyone. Today we're looking at some grapevines. So you can see, and if you've had grapevines, you know that they'll need to be trimmed back fairly regularly. And if you've been watching our channel, you know we hate waste. So we're actually going to go over how to harvest the grape leaves for use in eating. You can kind of see here, this one is like as big as my hand. So we're going to go for those, and then we'll go over kind of how to use them. But to start, you'll want to likely harvest these early in the morning so they aren't as bitter. It's kind of like other leafy greens. Next thing you'll want to do is kind of look down the vine, and you'll want to go on like the new growth here, so they're less bitter. So we're going to go to kind of the end here, you can see, and then we're going to go back 3 leaves. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then we'll harvest probably these next 3 here. So you can either come in with your fingers and just kind of break this off like so, or probably easier would be to use a scissors here, and we'll come in and just snip off 2 and then 3, and then we will leave the rest on that vine and go on to the next one here, and we'd go up 1, 2, 3 and cut up here. 1, 2, and 3, and continue doing until you have trimmed back the leaves that you desire. Most recipes will call for about 60 grape leaves, so keep that in mind. You can also buy grape leaves, but for recipes, this is kind of how we're preparing them. So I'm going to continue harvesting leaves, and then we'll go over how to soak them in brine or blanch them to prepare for. There are a few ways we can save our grape leaves now. You can see I'm rinsing most of mine. If you want to just freeze these for later use, you don't have to rinse them. You can just take your individual leaves, wipe them off with a dry paper towel or like a dish rag or something, and then we'll just lay these flat in a Ziploc or resealable bag, and you'll just want to stack them nicely and flat. You want to make sure there's no moisture, and then you can toss those in the freezer for later use. If you are doing that, keep in mind that it'll take about 2 months for these to soften up enough to use without blanching if you put them in the freezer, but you can go ahead and toss them in the freezer for 2 months and then use them. Another option, like you can see we're doing here, is we're going to rinse all of these, and then we'll be blanching them. If you don't want to do this and you would like to put them in a brine to store for later uses, you can do that as well. And in that case, you'll just want to rinse them quick and take off the stem here, and you can either do that with a scissors or just pull it off. I would recommend a knife or scissors just to get a cleaner cut because they're sturdy, as you can see. But if you choose to do that, you'll mix up a brine of 1 gallon of water to 1 pound of salt, and you'll mix that well, and then you'll fill a quart jar. So you can see like a quart jar like so, about 2/3 full, and then you can just bring your leaves here and gently roll them up, kind of like if you were rolling something in them, but you'll just want to lightly roll them. You want to make sure you don't tear them. Again, it'll be easier without the stems on and with 2 hands. But then you'll stuff a jar full of those and then top off with remaining brine to make sure they're completely covered. And those, after soaking for about an hour, will be ready to use, but they'll also save for a lot longer. But like I said, we are going to use the brining method so that we can use we're not using the brining method, we're going to use the blanching method so we can use these today. And if you want, you can just pour boiling water over them, but we prefer to blanch them like in a pot. So we'll go over that and we'll get started with that. So first things first, we're going to rinse these and cut off the stems. So we'll start doing that and check back in a minute. I mentioned when I was picking these is you will not want to use any leaves that have been sprayed with pesticides. So you'll want to pick these before you spray with pesticides if you do spray. Another thing is you'll want to make sure you have nice big leaves that can be fit the filling, so the size of your palm is a good estimate. And hopefully that don't have too much bug damage. You can see these are nice and whole, no real big rips, tears, bugs, anything like that. So that's things to watch out for. If they look like they're curling in, you won't want to use those leaves because they're just will be more bitter. Also, ideally you'd harvest these before you have any grapes on the vine, but you can still harvest once you have grapes because you'll want to expose those grapes to the sun. But again, you'll want to pick nice big leaves in the cool of the morning that aren't damaged and aren't dehydrated anyway, and they'll get more bitter as the summer goes on and as you harvest later in the day. So we'll go on to blanching now. We decided not to show you the full blanching process just because it's fairly simple, but you'll want a pot kind of like this. You can use a smaller one, but you'll have less space for your leaves. So you want to fill this with water and heat it till it's boiling. Then you'll put your grape leaves in here for 1 to 2 minutes and then dunk in a cold water bath. And you can just see what they look like after they're done. I can show in comparison to like a fresh leaf to a blanched leaf. So you can see the difference. Again, that's 1 to 2 minutes in boiling water and then dunked in a cold water bath. You can also get a similar result to this, as I mentioned before, if you freeze the leaves for 2 months, or if you do a brine, and your brine would be 1 gallon of water with 1 pound of salt added. So from here, you can take these, you can see they're very pliable, and you can use them in any grape leaf recipe. We will be using ours to make stuffed grape leaves. You can see they're big enough to put filling in here, and then we'll roll up. So stay tuned. We'll have a video on stuffed grape leaves coming out soon. Hopefully this helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will do my best to help you. Otherwise, be sure to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe.